Okay, welcome to part 2 of this tutorial series on video editing, and let's get to it. So in the last one we started a new project and imported all of our assets that we need. So now we'll get to some editing. First, I'd like to just give you a little tour of the interface here. So the default window that comes up, you'll see, is this editing tab. There's a whole bunch of other stuff here, but you don't need to worry about any of those. Just the editing is the one that we need. Uh, so this panel up here contains a bunch of different little windows. And so depending on what you're doing, this will have some different controls that you can use. It also has a preview window if you want to check what some of the footage is. You can view it up here before putting it into the timeline. This large window here is going to be the program, which shows the piece that you're actually working on. This here is your timeline, and this is where you're going to lay out all of your different clips and your graphics and titles and all that stuff, your music, all that goes down in this section here. So now that we've got that, let's go ahead and start a sequence. So this portion here has a bunch of different stuff as far as the project, which has all of your different assets that you imported. If you don't see that, just put your mouse over top of this and you can scroll through the different options. And so you'll see there's an effects panel, and if you just scroll through, you'll eventually find the project. So what we need to do is just grab some footage and drag it into the timeline, and that'll start a new timeline, naming it with the same name as the footage. In this case, we just want to rename that. So we're going to go over here. You should see this little timeline icon for your timeline, and so you can just click and then rename, and we'll just call this edit rough. All right. And so now you see that's changed over here. So the way you work with this is this little bar here scrolls through your footage, and that's sort of the point that's the frame that you're on, is where this is. This here shows your little time code counter, showing you this is frames here, this is seconds, that's minutes and hours, and that corresponds to up here. If you want to zoom in, you want to hold the Alt key on your keyboard and then scroll in with the mouse. That'll zoom in so you have smaller time increments that you're scrolling through. And so I use that a lot because you're moving along this timeline and sometimes you want to get in and edit something. You can also then do the same thing just by dragging the edge of this bar here. By dragging the whole bar, that scrolls through the timeline, but by dragging one of the edges, that will make you zoom in, zoom out. Okay, so now that we've added our first clip here, what we're going to do is we're just going to do some basic editing on the clip here. So it doesn't really matter what footage you use at this point. Just you can take the edge and drag, click and drag, and that'll let you trim that edge of the clip. Say we want it to end there. Another thing you can do the same thing where you drag here. You can use the frame marker as a spot to snap to, and it'll sort of, once you get close, it'll automatically snap to it. If you're trying to do like a really fine edit where you're trying to get to a single frame, sometimes it's easier to find that frame with this thing and then have it snap to it. So now that we've got that cut, so we have this big black spot here that's just empty space. So if we select that and then do a right click, you'll see we get ripple delete. And what that does is that just deletes that thing, and then everything after it, it sort of squishes it back up to that point. So another thing you can do is, let's say we find a spot here and we want to cut this clip. Over here you have a few different options of things you can do. So we hit the razor blade. You can do a cut like that. Now you want to go back to the pointer so that you can grab stuff. But now you see we've done is split this into two clips. So let's say we know we want to use this piece later, but we want to put something else in between, then we can just split it there rather than having to drag it in twice. And one thing to note, if you just select a clip and hit delete on your keyboard, that'll delete the clip. This is still the same full clip that we dragged in. It just has our edits, the things that we've done to it were then applied. So if now that I've sort of undone those, we can hit Control Z to undo, and we can get back to where we were. If you want to redo, I believe it's Control Shift Z will redo, or redo what you just undid. If you step back, too far and need to go back forward one. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to show you how to do sort of an overlapping edit. So let's do another piece. So take this video clip here, and so let's say we want some of the audio to overlap this cut. So like there's something on this piece here that we want to have overlap into this other piece. You have multiple video tracks and multiple audio tracks, so you can drag these things around and sort of stack them up how you would like so that they will overlap in the way you want. And so that's how you can do sort of a cut like that if you want to do that. Another thing you can do, and this is a little bit more dangerous, but if you just do the steps exactly, then it works out fine. If you right click on the clip and you go up to unlink, now the audio and the video are no longer locked together. So you can move them around independent. So now here's a problem in that this is now out of sync. So I'm just going to Control Z to get back to where they were. So the thing that you can do that's really helpful though is that you can do this, where you edit the picture down so that then when you go and shift select the audio and then right click, and then you can link, and now they are one unit again, but they overlap. So if you wanted to have some sort of sound, if like let's say you had the sound of some sort of machinery that you were demonstrating, and it was better on this clip than this clip, then you could have the audio overlap from there. That should be it for right now. We'll do another tutorial in a little bit.